To set the stage for this video, we first need to talk about what happened with Kirill Kaprizov and Brenden Dillon a couple of nights ago, where Brenden Dillon would cross-check Kaprizov in the back a few times. Kaprizov would take the first few checks just fine, but would eventually buckle as he takes a cross-check to the unprotected part of his equipment between his shoulder pads and the top of his pants. Kaprizov is now listed as week to week with an upper body injury, which is a huge blow for the Minnesota Wild and their playoff hopes. So as you would expect, tempers were running pretty high, even more than usual because of the rivalry between these two teams. Dillon would end up fighting Jacob Middleton, and Adam Lowry would also fight Patrick Maroon the very next game on the back end of a home-and-home between the two teams. This is typical settle-the-score type stuff that happens after most controversial plays. And ideally, this would have been the end of it. Dillon makes a bad play on the cross-check to Kaprizov and has to pay for it by fighting one of the Wild players. But unfortunately, Ryan Hartman would end up extracting his own revenge as he would intentionally high-stick Winnipeg's young forward in Cole Perfetti. It might not look obviously intentional at first glance. Maybe it was just an arid stick as Hartman was trying to win the face-off. But we got confirmation from Perfetti himself in the post-game interview.
To follow on that, Cole, did he make it pretty clear that he was doing that as retribution for what had happened the day before?
Yeah, he did. He made it pretty obvious, I mean, kind of a weird thing to come out and admit it, but, he blatantly said that, it was for what happened. Well, I didn't even do anything.
You were mic'd up too, right?
I was, yes. So we caught it all.
I was going to say,
the whole combo.
That's some damning evidence against Hartman, who would end up receiving the maximum possible fine for his actions, which is under $4,500. And for context, this guy makes $4 million a year, which equates to almost $50,000 per game played, assuming he plays a full 82-game season. So this fine is essentially him forfeiting 2 shifts worth of salary, which I think is absolutely laughable. I know I'm oversimplifying things a bit, but I think it's important to point out how inconsequential these maximum fines are for these players. And I would say the league-wide reaction has been more or less unanimous as well, that this play by Hartman was absolutely out of line and deserved punishment given the admitted intent to injure. That was until Jamal Mayers on the Sportsnet panel had this to say on the matter.
To go at Perfetti. At the end of the day, to me, Hartman is sending a message that you're not going to go after our star player. I think he sent the right message. Now, if no one knew, how many times centers make it accidentally on purpose? Leave a little extra knob on a face-off, kind of miss the puck, hit the guy in the cheek. The fact that we know that he meant to do it, that's the only part that I think that reason why we're talking about it. Because at the end of the day, if these two teams face each other in the playoffs, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think Hartman has now Perfetti in his back pocket because now he knows he's afraid, he's scared?
I think that's an awful stance from Mayers. I understand what he's saying, and I actually agree with it too about how players probably do this all the time with subtle little plays. And he's probably right that we're only talking about this because Perfetti admitted that he knows it was an intentional play. I understand that these types of things are unfortunately part of the game, but the part that makes his take archaic is that he defends the play itself and doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. Claiming that this is an appropriate way to send a message is mob behavior and absolutely has no place in the game. This is a 22-year-old sophomore in the league who's already had concussion troubles in the past, and you choose him as your revenge victim. That's low, no matter which way you try to slice it. He even had a chance to do this to Nemestnikov right before he got waived from the face-off as well, but it seems he specifically targeted Perfetti. Thankfully, Jennifer Botterill was able to counter Mayer's archaic point of view.
You guys are talking about both of the terms you guys use, revenge and sending a message. I don't know. You watch the play, you see Perfetti, a young, great player in your league. You think that's what you want to present or succumb your young, talented players to? There's a difference between tough and physical and cheap and dirty. And to me, on a face-off like that, that's cheap and dirty.
Okay.
I think she's right on the money with that last statement, that playing a physical game doesn't mean a cheap or dirty game. Those two can be mutually exclusive. I'll be honest, it's really tough for me to listen to Mayers and Cosentino on that Sportsnet panel. The only ones I can listen to on a consistent basis are Botterill, Elliot Friedman, and Kevin B. Yeksa. Everybody else is just not interesting to listen to at all for me. In general, you should either be able to provide great insights into the game or be able to provide some comedic relief to the broadcast. And unfortunately for Sportsnet, most of their panel isn't able to do either of those. This is where the TNT broadcast shines, where you're at least guaranteed to be entertained at the very least thanks to Biz. But unfortunately, we Canadians are stuck with the Sportsnet broadcast for the next few years. But either way, I do hope Kaprizov is able to recover quickly. And to be clear, I don't think that the Dillon play should have gone unpunished. I think that's a dirty play as well, and the league needs to be better at policing that. But taking intentional shots at the young stars of the league is absolutely not the way to go about this. Thanks for watching.